long for someone to go after the Duke. Another aristocratic boss, living in a palace and sucking the marrow out of the same people who built it.
Yes, I regret my affiliation with the young Duke, but his father and I were close. It was my hope that Luca would eventually grow up and learn that his actions as ruler of Serkonos have very real consequences.
He could always count on the backing of Dunwall's finances and navy. Maybe without that, he would have developed a healthy respect for the people of Serkonos. Fear of the executioner's block has been a fine motivator for many a ruler.
Once the Duke falls, it's my hope that we can build something better here. Something more representative and inclusive.
Now that things have changed, Stilton might be able to make a difference after the Duke falls. Paolo had ambitions, all fallen to pieces now. I never liked the Abbey. I guess Duke Abel felt all right tearing down the old palace. I have fond memories of that place.
Once offered me a suite at Dunwall Tower, complete with a laboratory, the finest apparatus in the Isles. I declined, of course. I'm not some conjurer from penny novels. Besides, I have a great fondness for my privacy, and my interests often find me coming and going in the odd hours of night. It's hard not to consider what might have been different had I plotted a different course through my early years. Was there something I might have said or done when Delilah was my apprentice that could have prevented all of this? Or his character, a fixed star we must all follow in darkness?
We're going after the one who started it all. The Duke himself. I forgot the thrill of it. Planning drop-off points, and picking the approach. Thinking about the best ways to kill somebody who lives behind high walls. But with the excitement, there's a black echo that comes back to me for what I did at Dunwall Tower. If anyone deserves killing, though, it's Duke Luca Abel. I've loved a number of women, and even a couple of men. But I've never loved anyone like my Deirdre. After I left home, those first years on the streets, she's all that kept me from the bottom of the river. I could sleep on a pile of garbage under a leaky awning as long as she was there with me. Sharing a tin of potted meat or a bottle of brandy. We nicked during the day. The Duke and his little brother came through Dunwall. And Deirdre and I got in their way as they stepped out of their fancy coach. The Duke goaded his brother, calling us wharf roaches. And it was the brother who swung the stick that killed her. Splitting her skull, there were wooden gazelles on top of the coach. and I snapped one off and drove it into his eye, as deep as it would go. Deirdre was already gone. Dead as a doornail. Lying in the muck, and staring up at the gray Dunwall sky. On the run after that. I was hunted by the City Watch and even members of the Grand Guard up from Zirkonos. People looked at me like I was cursed, spitting whenever I got close. Everyone knew I'd bring trouble. Even the gangs. The Duke's brother has been dead for a long time. But now's my chance to get back at Luca Abel for setting him off against pretty, young Deirdre. Nothing was the same for me after they took her away.
She wasn't always a ship captain. It was years ago. The two were inseparable. There was no food, but there was love. Those brief days on the street with her childhood friend. The happiest time she's known. Megan, she can be trusted. To a point. But I cannot see past the anger. That much rage can hide things. Sokolov wonders now if it was all worth it. Once put forth, some ideas take on a life of their own. The years have softened him. He seeks to make up for the wrongs from his past. He experimented on people during the plague years. Unwilling subjects who suffered needlessly at his hands. Aaron Stilton made a fortune in silver mines, without the usual cruelty associated with such endeavors. There was a great sadness in him. He misses his friend and confidant, the old Duke, Theodanis.
Are you ready for this?
I've broken into palaces before. They're made to keep out armies. Stopping a single man who's dedicated to his cause, that's another story altogether.
Getting inside might not be the hard part. The Duke doesn't exactly run a tight ship.
Taking down Duke Abel is only part of the puzzle. You've also got to find whatever it is he's keeping for Delilah.
You were cryptic about what you gleaned from visiting the Dust District, which is fine. The world is better with a hint of mystery. But once you're inside the Grand Palace, whatever you do could affect things in Karnaca for years to come. Remember that.
I've got a map of the Grand Palace for you, and I know something that may be useful. There's a hidden lever in the pantry that opens a passage to the Duke's vault. If he's keeping anything precious for Delilah, I suspect that's where it'll be. Beyond that, good hunting.
I'll see what I can do. I know things in Karnaca are fragile. Emily and I have a lot to think about after all this is done.
Meet me at the skiff. It's likely that the palace is trashed. They say the Duke lives like a 12-year-old tyrant. If we make it all the way back to Dunwall, there are some things I need to tell you.
It's not widely known, but the Duke has a body double. The man is the spitting image of Luca. A likable fellow, and quite humble. I've no idea where they found him, but the Duke's double has spent years passing for the Duke. I suppose Luca always hoped his double would be there to take an assassin's bullet. Take care. I hope to see you again.
I hope I've been of some help to you. It's good to feel useful, here near the end of my time. Look at you. You've aged better than most, Royal Protector. I hear the Duke's wine cellar is exquisite, if you happen to pass through. I remember when you took me from Caldwin's Bridge so long ago.
Should we head toward the palace?
Just a bit more time.
Should we head toward the palace?
Let's go.
At the palace, the Duke has a look-alike body double, meant to confuse assassins. A friend of mine washes the linens and said the double is a smoker, if that helps. Maybe you can talk to him. She says he's a nice guy. What a shitty job, pretending to be a tyrant like Duke Luca Abel.
Why don't they just overthrow him?
He's got an army, control of the mines, and he's had your support from the capital. At the Duke's parties, people carve up the country while eating boiled crab.
There were parties like that in Dunwall. Toadies sucking up to Emily made me want to be back on the streets in Serkonos.
You're forgetting what that's like. I watched those party lights from the roof of the abandoned butcher shop where I slept, in the flooded district.
I know you struggled. After years of court, I'm a nobody again. But what I've seen here will stay with me when I return to Dunwall Tower. Being in Karnaca again has given me perspective.
Good. After you've eliminated the Duke, find what he's holding for Delilah and take it. When you're finished, I'll pick you up in the skiff.